Good afternoon. I am Caroline Parot. I am the CEO of Group Europcar. When I've been invited to this session, it was some time ago, it was quite natural for my group to be present in a smart mobility event, even though a digital smart mobility event, but I'm sure that for all of you, this is more questionable because we can be considered, and I'm sure most of you are considering still that rent-a-car is part of those old companies which were renting cars with boring queuing at the counter 40 years ago, which is still the boring queuing today at the counter with low tech and low vision on how to use the new mobilities or the new digital world. The transformation we discussed this morning about what is digital, what are the investments on the infrastructures, what for, the capex you are all spending to build those ecosystems are very relevant for us, and I am not a tech company, I am a company which uses them to totally change the mobility vision of the company and what are the services we can manage for our customer. I will discuss with you about how do we manage with those technology the customer, and the customer. It is all about that in a service company, which is Europcar. So I'm going to discuss about services, digitalization of those services, and how with the new tech, we can also look totally differently of what is a service exactly. And I'm going also to discuss with you on why a company like us in our industry is relevant. We discussed this morning about startups, scale-up effect, and how to manage the next world. Rent-a-car industry, and Europcar in particular, we have large network. Network are platforms, so they are physical platforms. We are delivering a physical service. So we do manage in Europe more than 1,900 stations. Station is not a service point, is a place where you can distribute cars, but it's more importantly a place where you are close to your customer and you can manage a proximity for the distribution of a service. We do have this scale of knowing how to distribute and manage physical life. So we are in one hand physical people, logistics, and the other hand distribution people with the services. And the scale-up effect is quite intensive. It's making some barriers to enter in our businesses because to manage 100 cars, I know how to do it. You may know how to manage 10 cars, 15 cars. To manage 100 physically, I can do it because I know this business. When you start with 1,000 cars, your life is becoming difficult because you need to manage purchasing stories, logistics, insurance, reparation, and all the nice stuff about it. When you go to 100,000, your life is becoming difficult, and when you are nearly 500 million, you are really managing a business, which is the logistics side. But in front of that, you have 500,000 customers daily, which are coming to use those cars, meaning that you also need to manage their expectations, their needs, which are evolving, the customer services with new technologies. So all the new mobilities, and I'm going to tell you what is our views in that space, which are more car-centric anyway, all the new mobilities are about this evolution. How to take care of the customer needs with a less standardized product, benefiting from new technologies to do it. Rent-a-car services industry is probably well positioned to do that because we have the scale effect, the know-how of massive and intensive business units, business models. Nevertheless, it was mentioned by Olivier just before me, many people are thinking that it is an interesting play, and many new entrants. The reality is how to operate various kind of business model inside the same service to the customer. And we think that with the strengths we have developed since years, the technology which has been enabled by all the investment in the digital space are making us more than relevant for the next year to come. If we look at the vision, and I'm not going to repeat everything, but the vision on what is the major changes that enable the new mobility story. First, it is the congestions in the cities. Many people are living in the cities, you know. Can we really think that we can add more cars in the streets now on? I think that you all consider it's not possible anymore. But in addition to that, you cannot do inside the city much more cars, but when you look at the suburbs, then the stories start to become totally different. Inside the big cities, you have many public transportation, so everybody is happy to see new mobility vision with more car sharings, more activities with public transportation. When you go in the suburb, then you are lacking of those public infrastructures, and our governments, whatever are the countries, are not anymore ready to massively invest in those areas to provide quasi-public services. So who is going to serve the people in the suburbs when you will have a high-level congestion or new means of transportation in the cities, and all those suburb areas, how are we going to manage them? So the mobility will have to evolve to cope with those new evolutions, which is not only serving inside the big cities, but all the suburbs and those quasi-cities area, which are mid-cities, mid-suburbs. The political people are entering in that field as well for pollution regulation. So we want to have zero emission, more clean business support. They want also not to support the payment of the new transportations, because obviously all states, all governments are looking for money. So the regulation is also promoting to have new people coming, but with private and public partnerships to be able to put new mobility system on the road. Key question, who is going to invest in the infrastructures? This morning we were discussing about telco infrastructure, antennas, and all the nice world you are discussing together. In reality, for the mobility, if we want to be more clean, we need to be more electrical vehicles. Who is going to pay for the plugging installations? Where should they be? Who is going to manage the public infrastructure? And more practically, in the short-term vision, if you look at the Paris area or London area, many cars are paying fines or are paying the right to be on the streets. Big pot of money for the cities. Who is going to replace them? If not the private companies, which each time we want to put car sharing in the streets, we have to negotiate heavy fines or heavy fees to be paid to the cities to be able to manage a new mobility. So this ecosystem is moving fast, linked to the cars themselves and the new regulation on a more clean environment. More importantly, we do think that, you mentioned it this morning as well, the millennials are totally changing the game in the way they are contemplating the ownership of a car, but a behavior or the way they are looking at everything. Sharing is a fashion. Sharing is a long-term fashion. Everybody is now ready to share everything. You can share a bag. You can share a car, a bike, a flat. It was unbelievable 5 years ago. And this morning, François was asking who was born before, after 1977. Obviously, when we were born in those areas, having a car, it was a signal of something. When you were able to purchase a car, it was freedom. It was a signal that we were more healthy and that you were also able to do things differently. Now on, the millennials doesn't care. I have kids, you have old kids, nephews. They don't want to purchase the cars. Most of them just want to move from point A to point B. And the only way they think about it is with their smartphone in the end. So the mobility of tomorrow for us, and it's a big change, is to enter with a distribution which is through the cell phone. So everything we are building up for car sharing, for new services, new products, is the only distribution point is mobile. And when you are like a company like us, selling many products on internet since 40 years or 30 years with many pages, the life of the digitalization is to make you quite straight to the point on a service where in one page you should be able to provide what the customer is needing. So he needs fast access, quick payment, immediate availability, and he may want to change its mind every 2 times in the day. So in the morning, in the new mobility, you want to ride a car because it's convenient. At noon, you are in a hurry, you want to take a chauffeur. At night, you want to just go back by public transportation. And depending on where you are in the week, you can want to have a low-cost transportation or a very healthy or nice cars with a chauffeur or without chauffeur. So all the new mobilities is about change in our society, change in the generation which is coming, and which is only looking at usage. They are ready to pay for it. They are not ready to own it because they don't consider it is useful to own a chauffeur, plus a car, plus a bike, plus a train. They just want this usage management. So we are entering really in the new mobility in the multimodal. My industry is multimodal around the car. So the Europcar group I will cover very shortly is moving on to car rental, traditional, 7 days vacation, which is growing. And you don't go in vacation with your car after 1,000 kilometers, so it's already a kind of sharing economy. You want to have a car sharing sometimes in the streets, but you want to have the transportation. So really, the multimodal vision is what we do think, meaning that we will have all to partner together. The world of tomorrow, at least for companies which are coming from the old economy to move in the new, we are big as of today, but to scale up faster is not to invest alone. An example, in Paris, you do have, let's say, 1,000 car parking on the street available for car sharing. In Europe, the number of car sharing, us including plus some other companies, are probably around 15 to 20,000 cars, Europe, main cities. In Paris, you have probably more than 500,000 cars entering a day. If you want to move to car sharing or to new mobility areas, going alone by one will be very expensive. So we will have to be many of us, and that's why we like competition. We want to have more people entering with us. Either we go together, either they are competing with us, because we need to open the usage and the availability of these usages for the customers. So Olivier was mentioning that we may be scared about the competition by new entrants. We welcome it because we cannot invest alone in replacing progressively all those systems, and it is a good signal that we can make this business really suitable for the customer needs. Now, finally, how we do move from a more traditional environment, which is the one of today, with a more smart mobility vision. We need to consider that to be able to deliver services, you need proximity to the customer. Customers want daily product, daily services. Why Uber has been successful? Uber has been successful in the main cities because they were very close to where were the needs. First, they were convenient in their application, but it is nearly easy to replicate. But more importantly, they were close to the customer expectation. So being close to the customer expectation by back office stations, distribution of the cars daily, is really what is the future of the mobility. You will have probably many back stations, pool of cars available, because we will have space issues in the big cities or in the suburbs, but the daily services is really something that we need to manage together. Then the customer services, and I mentioned already, managing permanently daily customer services requires a total different kind of scale. So you need to have customer people, product people, contemplating and serving your customer daily. It cannot be a small effect. So scale do matter. We are really in a platform and network environment where the more numerous days you are serving, the more the scale effect is important, and you can organize very efficient customer services, customer product development. And we do believe that in this industry, scale do matters. That's why you have probably seen that most of us are investing largely, not in the physical station, but in the network for the distribution and creating more services in our platform. All about this is to cope one single thing. What are our customer needs? So to be able to cope with the customer needs, you need to know who they are, what do they want, where they are, and how is their lifestyle. That's why the digital world and the investment which is managed everywhere in the digital world is interesting to us because it's going to be about customer data and how you are going to manage those customer data to extract the best of them and to provide more and more adapted services to your customer needs and personalized. So personalized customer needs is what the new digitalization of our system is enabling today. The big question, I think this morning it has been pointed out as well, is a regulation about the data. Who is owning those data? you are creating, I am creating with you many data every day. Even if when you drive a car, you are creating many data. The way you are driving could be interesting for the insurance. Where you are driving could be interesting for many other stakeholders, because you are arriving in a point, so you can have other service provider when you're arriving somewhere. So all those data and the data privacy is something that will be an enabler or could be a blocking factor if we don't know how to manage them correctly, because obviously data privacy is important, but data, not ownership, but data management will be interesting and important. We are starting our investment here. I think that many data analytics people are contemplating the story. You need to have large base of customers to start to have large simulations on customer needs. Then on the service area, it will be very useful to know in which place are the customers, where they are driving, how to organize an ecosystem of parking at the appropriate place. You don't need to have a parking in the center of Paris if everybody is taking the cars to go by night in the suburbs, so it's a totally different area. So all those intelligence that we may have, but which is not well managed yet, will be more and more available thanks to data analytics, artificial intelligence, enabler to help us to review all those stories. So to do that, many companies, us included, organize themselves with lab to have dedicated teams starting to contemplate a usage model to see what are the customer needs, how to have new tools, how to have new tests, new pilots, and new products and services. You cannot do that when you are a company which is coming since years of building with your core model. So you do that separately, and you test in specific business units. You start to change the name. You do that with acquisitions. So many of you or many of us are acquiring startups, not to test, but startups to accelerate our visions. We are also entering in more and more partnerships. As I mentioned, doing it alone is not an option. In front of us in the distribution, you are facing people which are the GAFA. So how come that service provider can compete alone with the GAFA if we are not teaming up together differently to be more visible? And this is all those ecosystems that the company and us, but the other people are building up to be sure that we will be on the top of the race with other competitors. The question is not to be the first. The question is to be really well positioned with a smart tool, with investments in new mobility areas, as long as transportation is concerned. Finally, you have understood my discussion is not to build up new tech, but my discussion is to use what you are investing on, to gather it, and to propose strong digitalization customer journey. This is what we are doing. All your investment is more bandwidth, is more data, is transposed to new services for our customers in my industry, but in others. And it is there that the mobility could also start to scale up. 10 years ago, we may have had those ideas, and I'm sure some people were having them, but the technology was not there. What is doing technology for us is perhaps disruption, is for sure a strong opportunity to manage totally differently our customers, to manage totally differently the service, and to propose new value proposition for them. Bear in mind, when you are in service company, it is not the tech which do matter, it is the service to the customer. Sometimes we are discussing about technology, so we need to open the car with a cell phone. Guess what? If you don't have any Wi-Fi in a parking lot, you can open the car with your cell phone, but if the Wi-Fi is not there, you cannot do nothing. So the reality is that we need to adapt our business service model to every single situation, parking without Wi-Fi, parking with Wi-Fi, on the street, and so on. So this is really what is a service company, benefiting from new technology aggregation to differentiate itself with a new way to serve the customers. Those disruptions are for us really opportunities for the one we are foreseeing now. And when we are building up this differentiation, in parallel, we were looking at the 2020 or 2025 business planning to push ourselves. Then came the autonomous drive, which could be seen as a second step of this disruption, which we take as well as an opportunity because people are mentioning, and it was mentioned earlier, 2021, of autonomous cars, the question of regulation, the question of massification of those cars will be a little bit longer. And we do consider that autonomous cars is a strong second step enabler to also enhance the level of services for the customers and have a kind of different discussion with the regulators, with the cities, and with the states on how to get organized and to manage the service. For sure, as for the first transformation, cities and states won't pay for the huge development. They will make some incitation to deploy this, but they will more regulate. So how to place the regulation in a favorable way, how to use the autonomous opportunity to create new ecosystem, either in closed loops, either in big cities. We need to think that autonomous won't solve all the issues immediately. It could be a long way. And we do consider this second disruption as a second opportunity, but the story is still to be built up because with the digitalization, we have not yet cleared with all the stakeholders what could be the first transformation of the smart mobilities in the cities. So it's accelerating. It means that to be on the edge of everything, you need to bet sometime or you need to partners. We, at our level, at my level, have decided to partner, so meaning more bets than betting on some direction, but partnering with more people. Partnering means a commercial partnership, means also minority acquisition, majority acquisition, various things that is enabling us to foresee the future totally differently. So we are realizers. Mobilities is various things. People will tell you about mobilities of people, which I was doing. You can also think about mobility of the goods, which is increasing days after days, how we will do with more vans in the first steps, but probably drones everywhere. So there was a picture here on flying cars or flying whatever to transport many things. So we are, it was said this morning, in front of a fourth revolution. We have to build up it, rely on the new tools, and go progressively with the customer needs. So this is really what we are doing. Lots of opportunities, many changes, and we should not be afraid of any of them. We should just move with them and move with the new generation, which are totally thinking differently. So knowing your customer, following the customer needs day after day is what will help everyone to continue to be on the road. So this was our vision on how the mobility is evolving and how us inside as a whole company are moving on that direction. And I'm sure that the next panel of speakers will be there to explain probably directionally the same thing, but other angle of view, because we are all in the same vision, probably all competing as well to get a big market share of it with various means together. Thank you very much and enjoy your afternoon.